Reckless speculation.
Trade talks.
Juicy rumors.
Someone messed with our button bar, and the woo is gone.
Oh, the woo is gone. The woo is gone. Sometimes
The woo is
the buttons just disappear into the night, and we don't know where they go. Much like Patrick Beverley disappearing into the... What's your favorite part about the Gobert trade? Getting one of the great shot blockers in recent NBA history, or getting rid of your least favorite player on the team, Patrick Beverley? Patrick?
He's a very annoying individual. Him and Beasley leaving is certainly a benefit of that, in that trade, to say the least. You know, the one player you would have liked to keep, Vanderbilt, that's okay. And, you know, I've been thinking about it a lot. And I think I'm on board now. I was skeptical at first, but if it works out, all the draft choices are between 21 and 30, right? Aren't they? You know, you're back 10, aren't they? Shouldn't you have one of the 10 best records in the league if you're going to play this team together? Beasley, moron. Beverly, moron. We don't know, you know, Vanderbilt, a very good player, but they replaced him with, you know, Kyle Anderson, who people like a lot. And you know what it does? Don't panic on D'Lo. Don't sign him. Let him play. Yep. You take the benefit of the contract that's expiring, and you've taken away a lot of his responsibilities. He doesn't have to play defense anymore because if a guy goes around him, Gobert will block the shot. You've taken, you know, and you're going to need to find money, right? You got to find money to pay for this. Getting rid of him finds you money, right? After the end of the year. Instead of, if you trade him now, you got to take on what, $30 million back. If you just let him walk, you're out from under $38 million, right? You don't have to go take anything back. So, or 30, not, he's not
It's
making
like 33 or something, but yeah, the point stands.
So you don't want to pay him 33, but you know, long term, you're going to need that 33 for Edwards and McDaniel. So, you know, let him play, let him be your guard, let the contract expire, and maybe he'll have two ways of doing it. He can be a real dummy and pout because he's not getting a contract, or he can play really good so he gets a contract, right? One of the two. So I would think that deep in his heart, he's got to look in a mirror and say, I better play good. So if somebody wants to give me $25 million at the end of the year. So anyway. That's,
and now he gets one of the great people look at Rudy Gobert's offense and they say, well, he can't really do a whole lot. Well, you know what he can do? He can set amazing screens and catch lobs and score inside with go-go gadget arms. So yes, D'Lo and Gobert pick and roll, D'Lo Cat pick and roll.
Yeah,
some interesting things.
He makes 70% of his 2-foot shots too. So that's
he averages 16 points per game on 8 shot attempts, Pat.
Yeah.
Think about that math for a second. And he doesn't shoot threes.
What's he at the line?
He's like a 70% free throw shooter. It's not terrible.
Enough. But the you know what convinced me when I read, you know, because I'm not a deep analytical guy on this, you're usually instinctive on these things. The idea that Cat's going to stay in the game.
Yep.
He's not going to get 3 stupid fouls in the first quarter, right? And have to run over to the sidelines. That he doesn't have to get fouls blocking shots, right? Because this guy's going to block the shots. And if he gets the really good screen, he doesn't have to run over people trying to get to the basket and then get pouty because he got a charging foul and then immediately get another one to prove to the official he was wrong. And instead of getting, you know, he will leave the game with 3 fouls in the first quarter, a hell of a lot less. And I think that's part of this is all intended to do everything you can to help that big baby Cat. That's my theory, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
100%.
Yeah.
I'm calling him a emotional baby, and that's. I'm not calling him as a baby as a player. I'm calling him as a big baby emotionally, and you're doing everything you can to help him now. So, you know, I guess I'm on board.
Hey Pat, why do you think that this state and its sports fans are so scarred, though, because all I saw on Twitter starting as soon as the trade was announced was a litany of, it's Herschel all over again, my God, it's Herschel Walker, look at what they've done. And we both were there, okay? We both could go through a list of reasons why this is not that trade. As far as fit goes, as far as those draft picks that Mike Lynn thought wouldn't be executed by Dallas because he was going to keep the 5. I mean, Tim Connolly knows exactly what he's doing here. Those draft picks are gone, and he knows that. So, like, if you were there that day that the trade was made, this in no way, beyond the amount being a lot for one player, this in no way is that trade.
Okay. NFL. They play 30 guys, play a significant part in your team, right? 30 guys. So you give up prime draft choices in the NFL, the first 3 rounds, you're hurting yourself. In the NBA, somehow this universe is filled with basketball players, hundreds of thousands of them, and yet once you get beyond about number 6 in the draft, that's all throwing darts anyway, and you can get some guy off the scrap heap who's just as good as those. I mean, obviously Steph Curry is 7th, and Devin Booker, and if you're smart enough to hit on a 16 or a 17, fine. But usually by then you're taking some Euro who ain't going to come over here for 3 years anyway. So it's a completely different animal giving up draft choices. If you're giving up prime NBA draft choices, if you're giving up 4 prime NBA draft choices, terrible. You're not. And if you do, then Cat ends up getting hurt and doesn't play for 4 years. That's
also, I feel like you get to a certain point, and the Wolves were at a point for 15 years after Kevin Garnett where they were trying to find their franchise players, right? They're trying to find their Ant and their Cat in the draft.
Yes.
And they've done that. And now we could have the debate about, okay, what is the real upside of those players and stuff, but they have found their franchise star young players, and that makes these draft picks a lot more valuable in trades to them than in the actual draft. What are you going to do with the 22nd pick in 2 years or next year?
Yeah.
You might find someone, but it's more valuable if you can leverage it to get an all-NBA defensive player.
Yeah, I have come around on it immediately. Here, I was like most fans, and with Ainge being involved, and remembering the Garnett trade, which was the opposite of this, of course. And you look back and you say, how did they end up taking this collection of crap for Kevin Garnett? Al Jefferson and 4 warm bodies, basically, and then a couple of 2-year later draft choices that Crafty Khan turned into Wayne Ellington and Johnny Flynn. But in retrospect, yeah, go for it. Why not? Make Cat's life easy because you're tying your whole wagon to him, and our guy Ant's going to be out there trying to steal every ball, every pass there is, because he knows if he misses it, this guy back there they're still going to look up and say, oh hell, I'm not getting to the basket. So yeah, it's fine. Now, my theory is if Gobert plays 34 minutes and Cat plays 34 minutes, they'll only be on the court together 20, right?
Yeah.
Probably down the stretch, and at
to start the game, and then down the stretch is the thing they got to figure out against small lineups.
Yeah. But it really impacts where they were their worst last year, rebounding. They'll pound the hell out of the defensive board now, which they did not do last year. I like Vanderbilt a lot, but by the last 30 games of the year, having to be a team's leading rebounder kind of laid a war on him, not statistically, but clutch wise and stuff. So yeah, it's let's have fun here. And the idea that they're going to have cap problems, well, let the new guys who, by the way, we're all talking about maybe Laurie and A-Rod don't worry about the being over the cap and luxury tax and all that. I think we can all feel a lot safer when they come up with that last billion.
Oh, in December 23?
They
Yeah,
still
they
owe
do.
$1 billion. Huh?
Yes.
I think it's $1 billion. So let's let them cut that check out too before we have the parade. What if they don't come up with the $1 billion? So
It's been fun then.
yeah, it is. It's some of those billionaires aren't as rich as they were 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. One more thing on the Herschel Walker trade. I was. These people are pulling a trade from 33 years ago in a different sport as a reason for why. Oh my God! So you're either saying one, the Utah Jazz are about to embark on a dynasty like the Cowboys did,
right?
or you're misremembering that people I think back and the Vikings franchise was crippled. They became the Lions. No, they didn't.
No.
They went to the playoffs 6 times in 9 years. Maybe they would have been better without making that trade, but they were fine. They had one bad season and they moved on.
Yeah, they they kind of raided the USFL, which helped them, and because Lynn was feeling so embarrassed about with the results of the trade, but plus we had it. We also for a while on our team had a brilliant new U.S. senator on our hands. One of the smartest guys I've ever met. I think, you tell him 8 + 8 and he can 10, 12 minutes. He got it all figured out. So that's something like that. So that'd be good too. Yeah. When we be proud to have a former U.S. senator as a former Viking, or a current U.S. senator, soon to be U.S. senator.
Yeah, oh, very God. Exciting. Yeah.
Our scars, though, run incredibly deep because for each team, you've got one, right? Ortiz for the Twins, Herschel trade Vikings, Wolves is probably passing on Curry. The Wild, I feel like we reached for Parisi Suter, forgetting completely that on that day, we were all beyond excited and thought it was great. I love how the amount of people that go back, it was a terrible move. It didn't work. That day, Royce and I ran in, did a show, and everybody, I can't find one person on that day, if you go back in time, 10 years now, yesterday, who said, this seems like a questionable contract.
No, you saved the franchise and you gave up Kevin Fiala 10 years later. That was and you only gave up Kevin Fiala because the new GM decided they were both a pain in the ass, so he put them on, so he cut them at the same time. But you gotta. I wrote about this the other day. You got to go back to where they were. Leopold told me 7,000 season tickets at the end of June 2012. Half of what they had 2 years before, and they had 2 non-sellouts that year, and then they had 230 straight sellouts starting the next year. So I would say it paid off for and they made the playoffs. They just didn't get the 2 good clubs they had couldn't get past the Blackhawks, which was unfortunate to have to play the Blackhawks then. But I saw some people throwing that one in with the Herschel Walker trade as though it was a disaster, Suter and Parisi, which is really stupid.
Yeah. All right. All you guys do is rip on Emilio Pagan. He comes in and just easy breezy, the middle of the White Sox order, sets the table for the Twins offense late in the game. Duran shuts the door.
Did he get the win again? Is that 2 wins he's gotten here?
I think it is, right? Yeah.
He got the win. He got a win the other day. Okay. I will go along with the manager and his new genius pitching coach, Pete Mackey, deciding that they were not going to let Bundy face of order 3 times, right? So he gets done. He's throwing 58 pitches in 5 innings, giving up 1 run. And he hooks him. And then he uses Griffin Jacks for 2 innings. He uses Pagan for an inning. He uses Duran for an inning. He uses Duffy for an inning. I will put up with him hooking Duffy, but he better not bitch on Wednesday that he's out of relief pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
He better not start whining that he had to use his bullpen too much, because he did not have to use his bullpen too much. Bundy could have gone 7 innings, and but if you want to look at the stats and say he doesn't do well the third time through the order, so I got to get him out of there after 58 pitches. Okay, but don't complain about your overused bullpen.
Yeah, you're choosing. You're choosing to use your bullpen.
Yeah, you are choosing, and now what really they want? It was a hell of a game. Buxton made it. This has turned into this spectacular catch. Wasn't that spectacular? I thought he was going to catch it.
Why were the White Sox guys on the move? That's what I can't figure out. It's Buxton in center field.
Yes. Plus, if it hits the ground, you're going to score. But
yes.
If it hits the ground, you're going to be second and third and have a run in. Where the hell they were going? But I wish I'd been there, because it had to be fun. To see the big picture to see the all 22 on that picture would have been fantastic. Where are these idiots running to?
And the Twins didn't even know. Like Buxton kind of threw the ball in, and at first the Twins didn't even really realize what idiot base running was happening. Like, yeah. We just have to. Okay.
The third baseman Urshela knew what was going on, and he ran over and got the rest of it. Never in the major league history an 8-5 triple play. Never in history. 1901. It's never happened. But it is funny how they can play a hell of a game. They get 4 runs. Kirilloff gets a big hit. Verizon gets 3 more hits. Everything's fine. And they still can drive you nuts. Durant, first hitter. 100, 100, 101, all strikes. Boom, sit down. Now here comes the feared A.J. Pollock. And you start throwing breaking balls and get to the place in the count where you throw him a breaking. Okay, maybe the numbers say he's a fastball hitter. Why don't you make him prove it? You already got 1 out. You got a 4-run lead. Your guy was just zeroed in with 3 unhittable fastballs on the corner. Let him throw 2 more of those. And if it's 2-0, yeah, well, maybe if he's not ahead of the count, then maybe you got to throw a breaking ball. But
I have a theory on this.
Throw one right off the bat when you got him zeroed in the but Sanchez, I think Sanchez came out and did he talk to him then, or did he talk to him after the next? We got to throw a breaking ball. No, you don't. Yeah. Throw 100-mile-an-hour. You think that Cleveland's running out the Class A and say, okay, you just struck out Correa on 3 impossible pitches, but whatever you do, don't throw this guy a fastball.
Okay,
wow,
I'm so glad you brought this up. I have a theory on this. The same reason why Duran threw breaking balls is the same reason in logic why Dylan Bundy didn't get to face a team the third time through. The Twins, and I say the Twins, Rocco isn't managing unilaterally. So I'll say the Twins, the front office and Rocco, they manage based on presumed failure as opposed to just letting your guys dictate what's Dylan Bundy. Is having a great day today, and and this lineup is having a hard time facing him. Instead of assuming that he's going to fail a third time through the order today, he has his stuff today. He's throwing strikes today.
They decide at 2:30 in the afternoon that they're not going to have Bundy face the lineup a third time.
Yes,
and that Durant, and we're not going to throw fastballs to A.J. Pollock. They decide that at 2:30 in the afternoon. They don't decide that based on Bundy giving you 5 great innings, and they don't decide on that when Durant is hitting this much of the plate at 100.
Pat, it's the same logic that goes from, hey, 5 innings of lights out Kenta Maeda or Jose Barrios in a playoff game to, okay, now it's time for Cody Stashak to come in and try and get these guys out.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
pre-planning. It's not analytics. It's pre-planning.
Yeah.
You're right. You made a good point. You don't have to decide it. You know, for 100 years, you know, there's the analytic test, there's the whole thing, but there's also the eye test. You got to do what you're seeing has to play into your thinking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And
I'm the resident analytics nerd on the show, and even I'm telling you, this has jumped the shark years ago. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's I think when you have, you know, 17 people in your pitching department, Josh Kalk and all his buddies coming up with all these numbers and everything, numbers and angles and everything else, you're giving them too much power. Let your own what you're seeing give you.
They don't trust it.
Let make your decisions. They don't.
The problem is you guys trust yourselves. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I trust myself that much, but
they
maybe I do more than Rocco.
No split decisions.
We should not be upset after a ball game like that.
No, it was great. It was largely great. Yes.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they drive you crazy. You're right, though. That's the interesting thing. What makes this team fun is how crazy they drive you while actually being in first place. That's what I enjoy about them.
Yeah. I think they drive us crazier this year than they did last year, because when they stunk, who cares?
Yeah.
Right? Now it's the Mighty Whiteys have just come off a nice road trip. They scored 13 runs against the Giants on Sunday. You go in there and you hold them to 3 or whatever it was, and 2 should have been 2, and you still go, what are you doing with your pitching? What's wrong with
well,
you?
the thing that I was griping about was, okay, so you've got a tie game. I think it was bottom 9. So not a save situation. And because you're on the road, there could be a future save situation if you hold them and take the lead. And I get that. But you run out Emilio Pagan against 3-4-5 in that ballpark in the bottom of the 9th inning, and somehow they got away with it.
Yes.
And I said, well, did I miss something? Is Duran hurt or something? He hasn't pitched in a week because they haven't found the right spot for him, I guess. So would you rather have, and then, of course, the response that people give you is, well, if they take the lead, who's going to lock down the save? And I say, well, if Pagan gives up a 3-run homer to Jose Abreu, there won't be a save situation. Stop managing for something that might not happen and put your best reliever in that spot.
And why we're at it. Juan Minaya, right? Juan Minaya, we've had him. He's come back and forth 5 times. He comes back this time, and he's got a fairly good arm for as the rejects go, he's got a fairly good arm and a good breaking ball. And he comes back and he pitches twice and doesn't gets everybody out. 3 1/3 scoreless. But he threw 27 pitches Sunday. So you have to DFA him to get that big dummy McGill back on the roster, because he might not be available on Monday.
Yep.
Well, you have 7 other ones. Make him unavailable Monday. He's the kind of guy that is available on Tuesday. What's wrong with having somebody who's unavailable on Monday if he's throwing good? Instead, this blockhead who tried to hit who'd he throw at and got everybody all worked up, and McGill. It's what do you want to get? Somebody's going to claim this guy this time, I would think. Everybody's so hard up for pitching. What do you want to do that for? He's pitching good. He's throwing good.
I need Thornburg back. Give me more Thornburg.
Yeah, more Thornburg.
Sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
Tyler Thornburg.
Don't pitch him for
Throw him to the
2 weeks.
Wolves.
Don't pitch him for 2 weeks and then say, "Oh God, we have no other options." We got to
go out there and throw 6, kid. He's like, screw that. I'm going to groove one.
Never has a first place team been more unenjoyable.
I love it.
But you look around.
It's great fun. I love going to the ballpark, too.
Correa is great. Buxton's great when he plays. Arise is one of the best stories in baseball. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Kirilov's a hitting machine, too, now that he's up. The third baseman's fine. Kepler's not as rotten as he was. He's not great, but he's he's okay. They're fun, but they still drive you nuts because of the way they use their pitching.
And McGill, he's coming back.
What's the
Started
update?
the rehab assignment yesterday. It's just fantastic news.
Their message was for Miguel. Just keep taking your time, Miguel.
Big guy.
That's right.
Yep.
What are they gonna? They can't make it to September 1st, though. They're gonna have to make a decision before then, right? Because I think the rehab can last 30 days, right? I think so.
Is it 30? Yeah, it used to be 21.
He's down in maybe it's only 21. He's down in Fort Myers for a while, then he's going to St. Paul. So the fact that Miranda's hitting, and now that you got Kirilloff. By the way, did you see the play Kirilloff made at first base?
Yeah. Yes.
That would have been the other guy. The ball would have been down the line. They would have been chasing it down to the bullpen, So that's another great thing about having Kirilloff here is Miranda doesn't have to play first base unless you're really stupid. So,
Which, of course, he'll play first base probably tonight, so don't worry about it.
Anyway.
All right, Pat. Well, you guys are doing Unchained later today, and then we'll talk to you on Thursday, sir.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Rapping with Royce, presented by Federated Mutual Insurance Company. We've got Twins fever here, it sounds like, on the show. Celebrating a big Twins win by just bitching incessantly about them. Federated's all about risk management tools and resources, helping to maximize the success of your business, which is how they measure the success of their business based on those client partnerships. Find out more about how Federated can help you at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. All right.